video out now, man. Like, comment, subscribe.
Well, I might be partially in business. We'll see. I had put everything back together and went to drive the car back up to the top of the hill in my driveway and was going to back the S5 down to prep. And it appears the brakes started working. Of course, it was intermittent throughout the week. And I took it for a ride around the block and the brakes were doing good. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Came back to double check, and that's why sometimes it's best to double check behind yourself and initially do a thorough test. This is the first time I've seen one of the grommets go bad, and it appears back here. Let's see if we can get a better look from the glare of the light. Zoom in. That's a little bit better. Okay, the grommet is torn, and it is actually right there. The grommet is leaking air right between that. And part of the brake booster itself, the housing. Well, sometimes it's definitely good to do a thorough check, especially before you order parts. It appears that the reason I could not receive any type of vacuum or anything at all is because the grommet actually has a tear in it. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. Right there at the bottom, that grommet is torn. And that's the first time I've seen that on a brake booster. I mean, going through the bulkheads and different firewalls and stuff like that, I've seen that before, many times before. But good thing to know. First time I've seen that on one of the brake boosters from some of the Volkswagen. That can be definitely common. I guess due to the fact that this has original motor mounts, and a lot of the rocking back and forth from the engine can allow that to flex and possibly tear, and hence the problem with my leakage and shifting gears, and the engine's just tilting back and forth, going through the gears, downshifting, and a long commute. Yeah, I could see how the grommet would end up slowly tearing. I popped it back in, pushed it all the way in really nice and tight, and all of a sudden I was able to get brake pressure. And that was why when I continued to pump with my vacuum pump, it was not pulling any type of vacuum at all. Let's see if I can locate another grommet. I don't have spare brake boosters around, but I may have to snatch one off of one of my off my S4, which I don't want to do. But yeah, we'll swap that out real quick, and let's pull it out first and do a good thorough look, and then we can swap it out of one of my cars or see what I have, if we got a spare grommet somewhere, and we can remedy this issue. Yes, this thing is shot, totally shot. Look at this, you can see light in between it. This grommet is definitely done. Well, it's a lot easier to swap one of these out and less time consuming. A lot easier, a lot cheaper, and far less time consuming swapping out a grommet than it is the whole brake booster itself. That's why it's a good thing to continue to thoroughly check. I wouldn't be surprised, old as the vehicle is, that the brake booster would have gave up the ghost. But yeah, check valve tested out good, as I stated. Vacuum pump, and it appears just the grommet was torn, and that's why I couldn't get any vacuum on my vacuum pump. Let's see if we can scrounge up another grommet and then put it in and do a test. Grabbed another grommet out of my S4, and this is in a lot better condition. We'll pop this in, and let's see if we'll be able to get something with the vacuum pump. At least we can go back with that original test that I was trying to perform. My gut instinct was bothering me a little bit, and when I was pumping with the vacuum pump, I literally pushed this 90 tightly up against. I could hear a little bit of air seepage when I started pumping really quick, just to try to see if I can build up any type of vacuum. And I could hear air drawing through, and once I pushed this tightly up against the brake booster itself, then it sealed up pretty tight, and that had me pretty curious. Like, let me do a double check. We're going to go ahead and put the new grommet in, a replacement grommet, not brand new. We'll pop this grommet in and do a check and see if we can get any vacuum pressure. We're back at it. I have the same line hooked back up. I put the replacement grommet in there, and it appears we are able to hold some vacuum, which is before I couldn't do anything, as you saw in that video. And yeah, she's pumping up. Check that out. Bad grommet. Once I set down the phone, I was able to do a better test. And instead of having one hand on the pump and trying to record, I actually utilized both hands. And when I pushed that 90 up against the housing, as I stated before, it was my air stopped leaking, and it appeared that I started to pull some vacuum. There you go. Proof is in the pudding. So bad grommet. That was the root cause. We'll order a replacement grommet and put my other grommet back in my donor car. And I don't like starting to snatch parts off a car, and you start that, it end up becoming a pile of junk after a few years. And that is a whole nother story also. Don't get me talking, because I mentioned before in a previous video, I already have a 3-liter stroker box for that. That's been bored out, aftermarket JE pistons, aftermarket rods, just all of that ready to be done. CAT cams to build up in that S4, and that engine is actually setting and collecting dust also. So you see what divorce can do to you? You can be on a roll and making some good progress, and it can just set you back some years, and all the goodies and everything was flowing well, and then it's a wrap. But at least I'm able to recover, and I still have a lot of the brand new parts in boxes that Teddy jokes me about many times. New parts that's in boxes that's been sitting 10, 15 years easily, that never got used, that was slated for projects. So as I mentioned before, I had extra money. I worked a lot of overtime, and I was killing it. Extra money for projects, buying projects, and purchasing parts, as well as paying most of the bills in the house and doing the repairs on the ex's car, stepkid's car, and had very little time for myself until I got divorced. But my time was repairing their vehicles, making sure everyone in the family was good, and I was getting put on the back burner to the point where I was like, all right, this is a no-go. She got to go. My car is going to stay, but she's got to go. I got the house, I got the cars, I got my parts, I'm good. And now, thank God, I'm able to get back around to playing with these toys. Thank goodness. And able to record some content for people to see what will come up with a 5-cylinder 07K with aftermarket cams, solid lifter cams, and a built 30 valve that many people have done, or S5 3.6 liter swap. And of course, the main project right here, the TT that I was planning on welding up the bracket and got distracted by the Jetta. But either way, it's good to go. We're all back together. We're going to take it for a test drive and get an opportunity to see if we're good to go. Yes, all of that working that I did in the past and overtime paid for many family trips, bi-weekly date nights, all the wrap. So just for those that may think, hey, sometimes maybe you was too busy working overtime and that's why the marriage failed. Nah, I was the one that initiated the divorce. I said, that's it. I'm tired of being burnt out. She didn't want a divorce. It was me. So I am the guilty party in this instant, for those that may be curious, or if any ladies are watching the videos, or even the fellas that say, hey, in most cases, it's the woman that initiated divorce. It was me. I got tired. I felt as though I was dying on the inside. I could not explore some of the things that I like to do. I had all the toys and the parts, but didn't have any enjoyment because seemed like everything I was doing was focusing on other people, and I was on the back burner, and I couldn't take it too much longer. After I seen so many of my co-workers, a lot of the men and family members, just all the men was just dying around me, dropping like cakes, because a lot of the men didn't have family support. And even though this is going off the topic, I want to just tell the brothers and anyone, all the fellas, make sure you maintain good mental health. mental health is extremely important. A great deal of my focus, and I was raised in the South where it was just Southern roots, believe in take care of your family, you make sure your kids are good, and I put a lot of the family first, and nothing was returned, at least not the way I wanted. But when I saw family members, most of the men dying around, and just for an example, out of 13 marriages in the family, and that was the wake-up call, and all the men were dead and gone, and all the women were still living and surviving, and I felt myself dying too. I was like, that's it, is a no-go. I'm jumping out, I'm pulling the parachute to save myself. I'm not going to sink with that ship and be dead and gone, and everybody else still partying and celebrating. So thankfully I'm alive. I had to jump off that and jump off that boat and say, hey, Pops, I'll join you guys another time, and all my uncles and everyone, but now is not the time. We got too many other things to finish up, too many projects, and too many goals to accomplish, and some numbers to put on the board. But fellas, take care of your mental health. That is extremely important.